Hello, JPU family. Welcome, guys, to another episode. Thank you so much for joining wherever you are. I have a few things to talk about tonight. I want you to join me. First of all, we're going to talk about the Spark program. Big deal. I'm going to let you hear what went down today at the launch of it. And also, I have a very interesting topic to speak with you about. I was supposed to do an upload this morning, but I didn't get around to it. But it's about the experiment of democratic socialism or socialism in Jamaica. I have some things to say about that. So I hope you find these topics of interest, and I want you guys to give your feedback and tell me what you think. The long awaited main road project is coming, guys, to Jamaica. And the government gave some information about how that is going to go down. And we'll talk a little more about that. But, guys, let me know you're in the chat. Tell me where you're watching from tonight. Let me know you can hear. It's Thursday, tomorrow, Friday. Tomorrow, I have an 18-year-old daughter. Oh my gosh. Big birthday in my house tomorrow, guys. But anyway, good evening, everybody. Laurie, good evening. Camille, Jennifer, hi. Andrea, welcome back. Bob, hi. Easy going, big up yourself. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, guys. So, how are you doing? I hope you all are doing fine. Guys, the heat. Me don't know what going on in the world, guys. Something is going on in the world. We're up on a piece of heat stroke over here in America. I was in my vehicle today, guys, sweating with the AC on. I don't know what's going on. I cannot go to the pool because it is so hot. This week, I told my mom to come over and let us jerk some chicken, by the poolside and talk and catch up. My mom didn't show up, so I text her today. I said, "What happened?" She said, "Too hot," and she got busy inside doing some work. So not more than she forget to text me, but that's okay. Because honestly, if she had come over, I would have just said, let's stay inside. You cannot go outside in this heat. So I hope you guys are keeping hydrated and you are being mindful that this is an exceptionally hot summer. Easy going says same here in Canada. Southwestern St. Catherine, big up yourself. Thank you. Okay. Canada in the house, Southwest St. Catherine in the house. Guys, I observed something today. And you know what I noticed about the dialogue that we have out here and what's going on? You know, say no one talks bad about Jamaica like comrades in opposition. They see the absolute worst in Jamaica. When they are in opposition, they see Jamaica as this messy, failed state, which is not the reality. Because by all indication, Jamaica is better than it was 10 years ago. That is not a debate. That is not a speculation. That is hard, cold facts. Okay? So before we get into the big item of the evening, which is the Spark Main Road, I have heard from many people. What are we going to do about the main roads? People have been concerned. The government, with the bureaucracy and everything, it took some time. Even with the Troy Bridge, which I am very happy about because I use that route when I'm in Jamaica. That took a while too, but it got done. But that goes to show you the level of bureaucracy that exists in Jamaica, you know? But we're going to talk more about it, and we're going to hear from the minister and the prime minister. And the minister is going to be over here tomorrow night. Minister Robert Nesta Morgan. He's going to be here with us at 6:30 Jamaica time. So you want to come by and hear what he has to say and ask your questions. Guys, also, I want Jamaicans under 30 years old. They need to know this information right here. When it comes to home ownership, you see, one of the biggest problem is information dissemination, or how people are obtaining their information and based on how the media works, right? Because listen to this, guys.
I'm Shane Henry, and I'm a proud recipient of an NHT home. I'm a recipient of one of these homes here at Vineyard Town. I'm very happy to be an owner. I worked really hard for this. I was talking to mommy that, hey mommy, I want to own a house before I'm 30. I want to own a house before the year done. And we made it happen. So I'm really happy, looking forward for the future. And yeah, just happy. That's all I can say. So the reason why I chose to ask mom for help to use her points, she's been working longer than me, she has more points than me, so it was a no-brainer. Pretty much, I believe that made the process simpler, made the process easier, and the whole process itself was just a simple meeting with NHT, sign some forms, a lot of writing, but at the end of the day, we made it across the line. I'm just really happy that finally a homeowner, so very happy.
It was natural to give him what he needed. This is how I always thought it would end. I mean, I don't use from a point at this stage. I own my own home. My children were about to own their own home. So it was who came to me first or who needed it first. So his sister is still studying. So Shane was ready and he needed it, and I, of course, would step in.
All right, so as you can see there, this gentleman under 30 years old, okay, home ownership before 30. He combined his NHD with his mom's and he was able to do it. So more people need to seek information about home ownership. And I think this is wonderful. In Jamaica, you can own a home, right? But nowhere in the world people are gonna take up a mortgage and give you if you have no source of income, or if you are scamming and all these things. You have to be gainfully employed. You pay into your NHT and you can talk about, owning a home. So this is good information right here. So before we get to the Spark program, I want you guys to engage me in this question right here. Was democratic socialism a failed experiment in Jamaica? Let me just show you a video real quick, and this video basically show you how Michael Manley changed over his political life. He became a more humble person as he experienced life, experienced being the leader of a nation and things that went on and different eras. And I find that the People's National Party of today, they are still trying to function and operate on what Michael Manley called Jamaica being an experimental democracy, right? Because we're still a young democracy. But the thing about it, guys, is that Jamaica is no longer in an experimental era. We have done all the experiment we needed to do. We know what failed and what worked. And so now we have a leader in the government who cannot afford to operate on an experiment of the past, or in an experimental way of the past. Have a listen to this video, guys, and then I will come back.
And no power will turn me back from that world. And comrades, if you go and walk with me, if you go and step with me, if you go and move with me, we're moving as warriors. We're moving in determination. We're moving to struggle. We're moving to change that world. No power will turn us back.
Prime Minister Manley.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
May I begin by saying that it's a great honor to be invited here and on this occasion. I have the opportunity of my life, which is to meet the President of the United States of America. I thought it might be of interest, perhaps, if I began by setting a stage for you about a country like Jamaica and where it is at this moment. Like many developing countries, we have been on a learning curve. We've tried things, and one of the virtues of Jamaica is that it has always had a sort of experimental energy, been willing to try to find ways to get through this tremendously difficult problem of development. I think that if I had maybe come out of a different background, not a trade unionist background, but a long background in politics or in business or something, I'd have understood better how business people think and how the middle class think.
Yes.
Would have had a more realistic sense of the limits to the social goodwill of certain groups, that have never faced those issues. That one might have approached in a quieter, more patient kind of way.
Yes, so if he was more quiet and more patient as he set out to, because I think his heart was in the right place, okay? But there's a way to go about things. So let us examine this thing here. Um, the answer to this question about whether democratic socialism or socialism it was a failed experiment in Jamaica, the answer really depends on what measure you use, right? And it remains one of the most debated periods in Jamaican history. And that's why today you still see Michael Manley's picture on social media. You will see Eddie Siaga's too, right? But when it comes down to Michael Manley, it is hotly debated because you have some people who hold a certain view, and you have some people who hold the extreme other end of Michael Manley's era. But Michael Manley, he introduced and identified his political party's ideology as democratic socialism after winning the 1972 election. And his vision was to reduce inequity, he said, while keeping Jamaica a parliamentary democracy with free elections, right? So Jamaica has remained so to this day, right? But he was accused, of course, of trying to turn Jamaica into a communist country by the United States. But unlike communist states, Jamaica did not abolish elections or private property, but the government took a much larger role in the economy. So many historians would say the experiment did not achieve its economic objectives while acknowledging that it produced some lasting social reforms. So the argument that it failed economically is when Jamaica experienced severe economic decline during the 1970s, when inflation rose sharply, when unemployment remained high, when foreign exchange shortages became common, when many businesses and skilled professionals left Jamaica, when investor confidence declined, when Jamaica turned repeatedly to the IMF for fiscal assistance. Now, just within that look a period in Jamaica. Listen to all the things that I just said. That was a very uh serious time in Jamaica when you talk about, you know, Jamaica being in decline, and we just have to face the fact. Jamaica was facing a serious decline at that time. One of the worst of all is when you have your workforce leaving, and that was the time when people still talk about that today. When Michael Manley tell the people them say, listen, how much in flights are left Jamaica per day on a galang pane? You understand? So by the 1980 election, and this is something I asked on social media earlier, I said, why is it that Jamaicans voted out, the PNP voted out Michael Manley in 1980? I think it was 51 to 9 seats. That was a big wipeout. But I am going to find the percentage of votes that went to both parties and how many people actually came out to vote. By 1980, Jamaica's economy was in a significantly compromising situation. It was a very hard time for Jamaica after the 70s and you reached 1980. And guys, by then, many voters associated those hardships with Manley's policies, contributing to his electoral defeat. Now, I asked this question on social media to the comrades. I said, why did Jamaica voted out Michael Manley? You know what they said? They said because the CIA got involved. They said because United States and outside forces and sources got involved. But all these issues that Jamaica had in the 70s, I mean, they existed before anything else. You understand? So you have to be realistic. You cannot have this conversation with people who are diarrhea to the point where they cannot face the reality of the time and what really happened, no matter what side they're on. So the argument that democratic socialism succeeded in Jamaica, that argument is what supporters say, that gave Michael Manley this legacy of expanding access to education on a policy basis, strengthening workers' rights, improving literacy, the land reform efforts, the greater political awareness among poorer Jamaicans, and expanding access to health and social services. Now, these things we cannot take away from Michael Manley because they actually happened. Just like what I mentioned before actually happened. But these policies that I just named about education and workers' rights and land reform efforts and literacy, they just did not outweigh the bigger macroeconomic issues, right? When we're talking about the severe decline of the economy and the inflation that rose sharply and the unemployment which was high and the foreign exchange shortages that became common, and the many businesses and skilled professionals that left the country, and the investor confidence that declined, and Jamaica keep going to the IMF. Those are the things that outweighed the local policies, which still was a good thing that Michael Manley did. So many of these reforms actually influenced later governments, right? We can see today in Jamaica, we have a lot of free programs educationally. If you tuned into the PAC when the education people them came and spoke, and the permanent secretary Cassan Troop came and spoke on the head of Heart, you will see that Jamaica has put, I think, the education budget and the national security budget are the highest budget in a Jamaica, right? So Jamaica is investing heavily in the education of its people. Very important. The population that you are going to have will be as good as you educate it. So we know that, right? So other factors that complicated the outcome of the socialism thing was that many scholars argue it was too simplistic, to attribute Jamaica's economic problems solely to democratic socialism. They point to two external issues like the global oil crisis between 73 and 79. They talk about high international interest rates. They talk about the falling bauxite prices. They talk about the intense political violence in the 1970s. They talk about the broader geopolitical tensions of the Cold War, including, strained relations with the United States because of Jamaica's relationship with Cuba. Yes, we cannot deny that there were some external shocks, but in this time in Jamaica, we are seeing external shocks. For example, the situation with the war with the United States and over Iran, and how much war before that, and all kind of thing going on in the world. But even the pandemic that reached a Jamaica doorstep, me hear one man did talking at the pandemic say, "Watch ya, me not even have visa, so me affected by COVID." You know, and it was funny. We laughed about it because we know that COVID was not born in Jamaica. It came into Jamaica because of people's movement. So that's why the man has them don't have visas. So man COVID in a problem, right? But overall, the assessment is that, to me, a balanced conclusion would be that democratic socialism in Jamaica is widely viewed as having fallen short of its economic goal, while leaving a mixed legacy of significant social reforms. It is difficult to separate the efforts of the policies themselves from the challenging environment, both locally and internationally, at the time during the 70s. And you see, the ideology, some people argue that the ideology of democratic socialism was flawed. Or is it because Jamaica attempted to implement it during one of the most difficult economic and geopolitical period in modern history, right? But where we are today, looking back on it now, that's kind of my view on it. But let us move on, guys. Today was a good day for Jamaica as we look forward to this main road. A $20 billion, them say, I think, or 20 million. Well, I never find a number. A whole heap of money, the Spark program. Whole heap of money. But the Spark program was launched today at Jamaica House. Major investment in Jamaica's road networks. So through this program, main roads across the island will be comprehensively rehabilitated, improving connectivity, enhancing safety, and delivering more reliable travel from coast to coast. So let me go to what the minister said real quick so that you guys can see what's gonna happen. I think this information is utmost important. I mean, sometimes I find that people complain, but in that complaint, they don't seem to have a lot of information. You cannot talk logically, when you approach things like that. So here goes.
program. And I'm repeating it again. Spark is not a patching program. And I'm repeating it again. If repeating it again means I can repeat it again and again and again, my English teacher would not be proud of that statement. Spark is not a patching program. It's a total rehabilitation of our road infrastructure. It would have been very easy, especially coming up to an election, for the government to say, let us use this money and patch every road in Jamaica. And a lot of people would have been happy with that decision. But would that decision have given the people value for money? Would it have been a proper investment in the future development of Jamaica? We do not think so. The program will address culverts, retaining structures, sidewalks, road markings, and safety features. And one of the important aspects of the program that I'm very happy about, and we did it on Greens Lane, Permanent Secretary, where we are now including features on our roads to assist the differently abled members of our community. Tactile responsiveness, so the person who is visually impaired can get a response from the road when they reach at a pedestrian crossing, when they are reaching a challenging intersection. These things have not really been done in Jamaica before, and that is now a core part of the Spark Main Road program. You have all been given the Spark Handbook. In it, you will see very important information about how the program is structured. You will also see a list of the allocations for community roads that have been made to each constituency across the island. You will also see a list of some of the main roads that will be repaired over the next 12 months or will be rehabilitated over the next 12 months under the Spark Main Road program. I'm asking you not to keep the Spark booklet as a secret. Please share the information with everyone that you have the opportunity to share with. The difference between a quick fix and an enduring investment is the Spark program, and I want to thank the contractors, the National Works Agency, for carrying out the clear mandate that has been given to them by the government to ensure that we have properly supervised and well-built roads. Jamaican people must receive value for every dollar spent. And while the comment on social media has elicited a response from me, Jamaicans and the government should not take for granted the significant work that we have done under the Spark program. Spark is not a patching program.
All right, so that's some good information right there. The Prime Minister also spoke. He was present at Jamaica House. Well, on there, guys, because the Prime Minister. Let's see what I'll go on here. So. Oh, okay. Something else is going on.
More reliable journey for commuters, reduce fuel and vehicle operating costs overall, time saved during commuting, and of course, improve access and reduction in time being wasted to get to healthcare and emergency centers. So challenges as to when we are addressing these and how we will do them. Some of the challenges we have, which we all know are weather-related, land acquisition matters, and traffic disruption. Some of the mitigating strategy we have is to program our works with respect to weather patterns to ensure that we maximize when we have good weather. Land acquisition, we're doing early engagement with the critical stakeholders. And for traffic disruption, we will ensure that we program and relate to all the stakeholders, including the police, to assist us as we go about implementing the program. These are just some of the details that I think we went through earlier, so I won't bore you with that anymore. So let me thank you for your time and your patience. Thank you very much, Prime Minister.
Thank you for that informative presentation, Mr. Downer. I think the visual aid is appreciated, and I'm sure that our respective teams will be packaging this so that the rest of Jamaica can also benefit from this information. And just to say that I think that we're turning a corner when it comes on to our information-seeking behavior, so that when projects like these come on stream, we're aware of what they will entail, aware of the conveniences and inconveniences that they may cause, and we can align our expectations accordingly. So thank you again for that. At the risk of sounding a little bit hackneyed, our Prime Minister requires very little introduction. But at this time, I do want to say that you've seen him here, there, and everywhere. He is connecting with Jamaicans at home and abroad. He's ensuring that our national business goes on and that Jamaicans are able to benefit from an improved quality of life. So please join me in welcoming the Prime Minister to address us.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm going to start by repeating a directive that I gave earlier, and I'm hoping that our head of protocol is here. So we're doing so many things, and it is necessary that we mark every achievement with some form of ceremony. But it doesn't have to be ceremonial. I hear Minister Grange chuckling a bit. And the reason is that we have so many things to do, we need to get to the next one. So we need to move through them very quickly. So the ceremony is important to mark the event, but it doesn't have to be ceremonial. There's a description of what is a good speech. Some of you know that description. It should be long enough to cover the subject, but short enough to capture your interest. But I prefer the other one, which says a good speech doesn't have to be eternal for it to be immortal. Brevity, that is what we're seeking. So if we could keep the ceremonies within 1 hour, that would be great.
Yes, man.
And that I see the director of protocol saying, I am at fault. Because I may speak eternally.
No bother with it today, though.
Let me acknowledge the members of the cabinet who are here. Ministers Morgan, Mackenzie, Hill, and Grange, our permanent secretary, the head of the NWA and his team, representatives of China Harbour, members of the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development, and stakeholders, everyone, good morning. The SPARK program is a $45 billion infrastructure program.
Backside.
It provides $20 billion.
For would Jamaica get so much money, man? 45 wara?
For main roads, $16 billion for community roads, and $5 billion for water infrastructure, and $4 billion for engineering, design, consultancy, supervision, and associated costs. It's very important to know. Not all of the road is asphalt and pipes. Much of what we do is about the planning for the road. So even before we put one backhoe on the road, there is a significant volume of work that is done to ensure that the road is done well and will last. In fact, the preparatory works are just as important, if not more important, than the actual implementation and construction. So I want the public to understand that for all the roads that we are doing under the SPARK program, and indeed for any roads, a large part of the budget, or rather a significant part of the budget, goes towards the preparatory work, the engineering, the designs, the environmental studies. Oftentimes, we also have to do a business case, an economic case, the traffic studies. All of those things are done. And that, of course, lengthens the implementation for the road. Now, I want to acknowledge directly the frustration caused by the conditions of many roadways in Jamaica. I hear the protests, the calls to the radio stations complaining about your roads. I am in communities all over Jamaica, and one of the topics that persons come to me about, it's about roads. I get many messages and emails and calls, and if I were to categorize them, roads would be a significant complaint. And recently, I saw an article where one of our members of parliament, Dwayne Smith for Northwest St. Andrew, was tackled by the Citizens Association in his communities about their roads, and rightfully so. There are so many communities with roads that are deteriorating. There's nothing that I say here that any of the residents who are suffering from bad road conditions will take comfort in, because the truth is that the citizens, they don't judge the road program of the government by the contract sign or a lovely ceremony such as this one, or the billions that I am announcing. That's not what they're interested in. What the public is interested in is that when they get up in the morning, they go in their car and they're driving to work, they don't hit a pothole.
Yeah.
They want to just drive on a smooth road and back home. And for many of them, the question, is that too much to ask? Is that too much to ask of our government? And then there are those who will say, you know, I've traveled to other places and they all have, you know, smooth roads and good infrastructure. Why can't we? And so I want to say I understand the frustration. But it is not so simple. I know that's not what you want to hear. But road, bridges, hospitals, water systems, sewer systems, they are very complicated and complex undertakings. Not to mention, they are very expensive. Very expensive. But nonetheless, your government has the ambition to deliver to you the carpets that you want. From your home to your work or to whatever endeavor it is and back. The smooth road, because it is a sign of modernity. It's a sign of development. It is part of the quality of life that you experience. And we want you to have the best experience, the best quality of life. And so that is why we have developed this Spark program, which is the first attempt of the government to not just patch roads, but to do mass rehabilitation of roads. And I want to make that distinction. The government can patch roads, and we do patch roads all over Jamaica. But to be fair, a patching program will not bring the road network to the quality that you desire.
No.
And what you're seeing happening now is that we are beginning to patch the patches. And the reason for that, friends, is that Jamaica's road infrastructure is aged.
Yes.
This is a very difficult point to make to a citizen who is frustrated by the road that passes their gate.
Yeah.
And I give you an example. So in many of the communities in Northwest St. Andrew, in my own constituency, West Central, St. Andrew, in West Kingston, but wherever it is across Jamaica. Many of those roads were built more than 50 years ago.
Yeah, man, a long time.
In fact, if you were to do a roster of all the roads in Jamaica and put a date as to when those roads were constructed, 90% of the roadways in Jamaica would have been constructed more than 60 years ago.
Mighty God. And everybody want that's the thing, guys. First, you said the road them in a Jamaica. We are not a nation where keep up with the condition of roads. We just have not been good at doing that. Okay? And first, you said the road them stay there for so long. Rain come wet them, sun come burn them. And you see all of a sudden, when everything start to deteriorate one time and same time, everybody want everything fixed right now. You see where I live? For the 16 years I've been here, there I cannot count the amount of time I see them pave over the road and pave and pave and pave. Them always I do that. You see from the rain and so wash out the color of the road, you see them start to fix it again, pave it again. Cause road feel look nice and clean. So 45 billion is a lot, and this is just for main roads. But Jamaica still has a lot to do when it comes on to development of all its roads from rural Jamaica to the cities.
And if we're honest with ourselves and ask, how many of those roads were totally rehabilitated? It would be less than 5%.
Here they.
So the challenge that you're facing now with roads is not just the weather. It's not just, the lack of maintenance or damage done to road by how we use the roads. It is that the asphalt has reached its physical limit.
Yes, that's why everything I deteriorate now.
It's just the reality. And even if you were to patch it, that does not solve the problem, because the sub-base of the road has also deteriorated.
Yes.
But there is also another factor. These roads that were designed and built more than 60 years ago were not designed and built for the level of rain and water that they have to carry, for the level of traffic that use them, and for the weight. So I'm not trying to ask for the understanding of the country.
Yeah.
Right? Because I do understand the frustration. But it is important that when we start to vent about the roads, we also appreciate what the challenge is. Now, you'll never escape politics.
No.
In the matter of roads. So there is an argument that says there are some roads that you should focus on. So there are some main roads, there are some critical thoroughfares, and there are some roads that people are going to demonstrate for. And so, in other words, the politics can have an impact on the budget allocation. But then the question is, should it be that protests and demonstrations determine how governments plan their road programs? I'm not giving you an answer. I'm just asking you to consider that. Because were that to be the case, then the people who are going to quarrel the loudest and so forth, they may be the ones, but it may not be the economic best decision. It may not be the best strategic decision. I'm saying all of this for the public to appreciate the complexities that your government has to address in dealing with managing roads. So where do we start in managing the road? What?
You see, the thing is, yes, we appreciate it, but not only that. Finally, in my lifetime at the very least, is the first time that I've seen a government deal with the road conditions in such a comprehensive way. I mean, we've been busy over the past 3 decades trying to get major highways and toll roads and all these things to connect Jamaica. Remember back in the days, guys, when you say I left Kingston or go Manchester, just prepare for travel the whole day. You take a country bus down a terminal 6 o'clock in the morning. You not reach Mandeville till all some bad 4 p.m. in the man. You see? So we have been busy trying to, make Jamaica a place where we can travel in a more modern way. And we have accomplished some of that. But at the same time, we have not been focused on the roads in this manner. Outside of the toll roads and the big highway 2000 and so, this is the first time in the history of modern Jamaica that we are seeing things like main road being addressed and the $45 billion. I want to know where they get so much money from. I must find out that information.
Is the good news? Where is the hope that our roads will be repaired? What is it? Firstly, we have to improve the governance of our roads, how we manage our roads.
Yes.
My grandfather used to be a superintendent in the whole PWD. And I know that there are many persons from that era who reflect upon the efficiency and good management of the public works department.
Mm-hmm.
And for them, the solution is, why don't you go back to the public works department? I have been asked this many times. E.g., don't take it as a criticism of the NWA. But there is a kind of romanticized view of the roads of old and how they were built. And there is some value to that observation in the sense of how roads were administered. So first of all, there were very high standards for road maintenance at the time.
True, man.
There were high standards for road construction at the time, and they were invigilated, they were supervised, they were interrogated. Persons went and looked and checked. But more than that, they maintained a gazette and a register.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew all the roads that were built, when they were built, the maintenance schedule could be generated from that, and a fiscal program, meaning a budget could be assigned based upon the projected useful life of the road. Somewhere along the line, that broke down.
Guys, what the Prime Minister just said, how comes the whole of the MP them couldn't come together over time when them constituents are ball upon them for road? Why the MPs them never come together and say, listen, this thing here is not working? That goes to show, how divided we are politically. Because, making continue talk, making continue.
To the point where, when I asked the question, how many kilometers of roads do we have? Nobody could tell me specifically or exactly.
You're there.
Because there are some roads on a register with the parish councils all over the country. There are some roads that have been built but not taken over by the parish council. So there are orphan roads. There are some roads that are in the Ministry of Agriculture. There are farm roads, and the Ministry of Agriculture doesn't view them as roads. There are some roads that are in housing schemes that were built. Nobody knows of these roads. The NWA maintains a register of about 5,000 kilometers of roads.
Mm.
So the first thing to do is, let's do an inventory of our road assets. And that has been done. It's not complete, it is ongoing. And I am told that we have about between 25 and 27,000 kilometers of roadways in Jamaica.
Okay.
Let's just be clear on what that means. I mean, that's about 16,800 miles of roads. Jamaica's total square kilometers would be about 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
About that. 11,000? About 11,000. All right, I'll go with 11,000. That means that we would have probably the highest density of roadways in the Caribbean.
What?
I don't think there's another country that has the density of roadways that we do.
Mm.
Globally, it is said that Japan would have the highest, and Jamaica at some point was number 2. We may have fallen. But for a country our size to have that level of density of roadways, it is significant.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened because of our history. The history of the end of the period of enslavement,
Mm-hmm.
the rise of free villages, and then the building roads to connect the dispersed population all over the country,
Right.
would mean that we would have built out a very extensive road network.
Very well
which
said.
today,
Mm-hmm.
when we have done this survey and all the roads that we have, we really have to start to look at some roads and determine whether or not those roads still carry economic value.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not they should still remain on our register of roads. Because it's one thing to have the road there and you're not using it, but yet it is still expected to be maintained.
Yeah.
And that is why we have proposed the development of the One Road Authority to return standards to road construction,
I agree. Mm-hmm.
to return standards to road maintenance,
Mm-hmm.
to ensure there is a budget for road maintenance that matches the economic and engineering life of the road, so that there can also be a preventative maintenance program.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, that there is a regulator and someone who will supervise road construction, road maintenance, and preventative work.
That is going to be the big challenge now. When we have the roads being rehabilitated and coming up to standard, they have to be maintained so that we're not here another 50 years down the road. Okay? So maintenance of all this work and how much money we are putting in going to be very important.
In addition to that, an authority that has the legal powers to prosecute road users who destroy the national public assets in our roads
A true, man.
by improper use or deliberate destruction.
Yes, man, a true.
And that's the whole purpose of the One Road Authority. That is being worked on. I've charged Minister Morgan to have that delivered by early next year. As you know, there's a long process towards establishing an institution, developing the legislation, passing it through Parliament and getting it done. But I think we can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can address the governance issues as it relates to roads, then I think we will be 50% of the way to seeing how we can repair all our critical roads and bringing them up to the standards that the public would want. So someone once asked me, what would it take to repair all the roads in Jamaica
You don't know.
that would be in need of repair?
Mm-mm. Lord Jesus.
And I did some back of the envelope calculations. Jamaica's national budget, or last budget, was about 1.4 trillion Jamaican dollars.
Lord Prime Minister, them
Just
the
to
money
put that
they
in context, that is $1,000 billion.
bucks. Hear the guys?
That's $1 trillion.
Mm-mm.
So, for us to repair, E.G. and Varden tells me that to do a kilometer of road in Jamaica properly, you would be looking at about 120 to $250 million.
Mm-hmm.
That is to put in the drains and to put the proper camber and water mains and to give you a really good first world infrastructure. That's what you're looking at on average. So, I mean, if we were to repair, that 21,000 kilometers to the various standards, you're looking at trillions of dollars. In fact, you're probably looking at between $5 to $7 trillion. So in other words, we would need to use the national budget for about 5 years and do nothing else. No school, and that includes a pipeline. No school, no hospital, no police, no security, no pension, no public sector workers' salaries, no social programs. All right? So we would have to forego everything for 5 years to make an impact. I'm just saying this for the public to understand the magnitude of the problem that we face. Now, the government isn't trying to run away from it. In fact, I think this is the first administration that is really trying to grapple with all dimensions of this problem.
Then know that me just say, guys, know that me just say me never see no government come deal with the road issue in such a comprehensive manner outside of the highway 2000 and them the big highway there. You understand? Because I think our main roads are used more often, than those highways, guys, and those toll roads, And maybe that's why they're in such deplorable conditions. But we heard it that those roads, they've been there since before Jamaica became independent. Jamaica is turning what this year? 65? Want to tell me, night chat, if Jamaica is turning 64 or 65 this year, August 6th. So we're talking about decades and decades of neglect, either because we didn't have the money, the resources, or the political will to fix these roads. So we appreciate, the history. We appreciate acknowledging, what things really are and the fact that it's being addressed finally. Everybody's now complaining because everything I dropped down one time. Jamaica is becoming 64 years old. Thank you, Melody and Elvis. 64 years old this year. So 64 years worth of neglect. What do we expect? Let's just be glad it's being done.
And to deal with it in a meaningful way that will actually transform roads. So the public may not necessarily appreciate, however, that in the last 20 years, the way in which we have managed roads would have changed significantly.
And guys, let me just interject real quick. This is why I keep telling people, if you change government now and even over the next 10 years, Jamaica is gonna be in problem. You understand me? It don't make no sense. When you see a government come in and them doing work, leave them, make them complete them work, guys. Because what I find, and this is not just in Jamaica, but what I find is that sometimes when one government leave office, the next government will come in, they don't believe in continuity. They believe in just ignoring the things that the previous government had in place, right? And them don't want to continue the work. So you find, say, things fall apart, things fall short, and we cannot do that. So if the government is doing something what makes sense, make them finish their work. We can already see that the opposition is just dysfunctional and I don't think they can manage work of this magnitude. What we see this government is doing, they just cannot, they don't have the mental capacity and the manpower over there to do it.
Significantly. And I can point out this to you without any fear of contradiction. I mean, in the previous decade, so let's say between 2006 to 2016, on average, the government would have spent something like $8 to $20 billion, $8 to $20 billion annually.
Yeah.
On roads, and that would include some amount of emergency repairs. In the last decade, 2016 to now, the government is spending somewhere in the region of $25 to $75 billion on road repairs.
Okay.
Even if you were to take out inflation, this is still a significant amount of resources that the government is spending on roads. In fact,
talking about resources, guys, remember, this 45 billion and road this road project launch is happening at a time when we are less than a year away from a catastrophic hurricane, right? So while we should be here talking about rebuilding and recovery, look at what is happening just after a major hurricane that wiped out 44% of our GDP. Look at the timing, okay?
the government in the last decade has increased spending on roads more than threefolds. But the majority of the public will say, I don't feel it. And that is because of the magnitude of the problem. Let's face it, we have 300 roads on the Spark. And if you look at the number of persons who would say, I feel the improvement of Spark, it would be very limited to everyone else who complains about their roadways. And the reason for that is that, one, the Spark program has a community component which is dispersed. It's community roads. So it's the community that is benefiting from the road that would say, yes, my condition has improved. But when they leave the community to go elsewhere, they still encounter bad roads. So all of that is negated.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have another element of Spark, which would be the national roads. So the community roads, they take you from your home to the main road. And this program now takes you from the main road to your work, business, or play.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you from outside your community into a commercial center or some other critical activity that's needed for your life. And so those roads are what Baden had displayed.
Guys, please to hit up the like button for me. All of you over here, please to hit the like button. Thank you very much.
Them are very interesting and exciting prospects that will ease traffic congestion, that will increase economic activity, and some of them will require some significant engineering, including putting the road on top of the Sandy Gully. Those are some serious engineering, which I would really want to see before any work is done in that regard.
So we have the Spark Main Road. $45 billion worth of Spark Main Road a come. And then we have, separate and apart from this, we have NARA, which is to deal directly with the recovery infrastructure aftermath of Hurricane Melissa. So there's going to be a lot going on across Jamaica. And I'm going to ask my friends over here tonight, when you guys are out there and you encounter delays and things like that, first of all, when you not leave on the yard, make sure so you leave a little early, because you are going to encounter temporary inconveniences while Jamaica is developing. So leave on the yard a little early if you're not going to event, or if you don't have no place to be, work on them something there, so that so you can exercise patience out there on the roadways. You understand, guys?
Because those are serious engineering requirements, but they will certainly improve traffic flow within urban centers right across Jamaica.
I'm glad you said that, Prime Minister, because one of the reasons why, when I am in Jamaica, I do not You cannot convince me or pay me. Somebody if you are dead for I get behind the wheel of a car and drive in Kingston. The traffic in Kingston is so bad. Even on a Sunday. I was in this taxi the last time I was there in March and I was talking to the taxi driver. I said, boy, cabby, you know, say me not driving at Kingston, you know. And he must say right now in a Jamaica, the traffic problem is not just Kingston, it's in every major city across Jamaica. And that the man tell me, you know. Now, when I stay in Jamaica, I usually stay in rural Jamaica, so I don't really get to experience a lot of traffic. But this man is telling me that it's not just Kingston alone. So the traffic problem, this road thing, is going to alleviate a lot of the traffic delays and frustration on the road.
And as was shown, these projects are all over Jamaica.
All right.
Now, internationally, most developed countries spend around 1 to 2%, 1.5 to 2% of their GDP on their road infrastructure.
Okay.
Because generally their road infrastructure is mature. They probably only need to do routine maintenance and some amount of new capital works. Jamaica is spending just about 2 to 2.5% of its GDP on roads. If we're going to make an impact, we probably need to be spending more like 3 to 5% of our GDP on roads.
Makes sense.
But that would be significant because the question is, what do we cut? It's an interesting prospect, and I've been looking at it to see where else could we divert or what new allocation we could make to spend on roads. And the answer is really there is nothing.
I was just going to say that this government has outspent every previous on national security, on education, and those are the two most important ministries in Jamaica. Health as well. Let me not forget health. Your national security, your education, and your health. Right? So what can we cut? We cannot afford to cut anything. So what we are going to do? Make we hear the answer.
We spend about $460 billion on salaries every year. Obviously, that can't be cut.
Right.
And that's the largest part of the budget. We spend quite a bit on education. We spend on health, national security, debt servicing. That's
Guys, at the first, me I listen to this, we don't know, you know, I see everything when me just say a while ago, the Prime Minister said. Me and the Prime Minister think alike. We don't think it take boy for run country. We don't think it take boy for carry country through pandemic and country no collapse and healthcare no collapse. We don't think it take boy for do 35 or $45 billion what a main road 7 to 8 months after a major hurricane wipe out to 45% GDP. You think it take boy? So when we look on the immaturity of the alternative and the inability to think innovatively and to be disciplined enough to do this job, you think it take boy? And that's why I hear people are trying to disrespect the Prime Minister, who in my view has grown in his job. They got to be out of their mind. Them say cow no know the use of them tail until they lose it. Right? Make one election call tomorrow. I want to put in them the people that will make up be a ruckus in our parliament and see what happened to Jamaica. But I want people every day. We over here in the diaspora who are of age where we can come back to our country and be productive citizens and contributing members of society. We do not want you guys to make any foolish decisions where our country is concerned. Be ye careful, because when you make certain decisions, you cannot reverse it.
15 to 18% of the budget. As I said, public sector compensation, that's about 30% of the budget. Grants and pensions and social programs, that's another 15% of the budget. So it's significant, what we spend on all the other things that make Jamaica run. It's quite significant.
Let me ask you all a question real quick. Do you think that you can get an in-depth conversation from the leader of the opposition on the business of Jamaica? Be honest, talk in the chat. Do you think that you can on any given day hear such in-depth analysis of our roads, of our history, of our budget, of our ministries, of what we need to do to get over this obstacle that we are facing, which is that of our roadways? You cannot get that. And I say that without any reservation. When you listen to what comes from the alternative, it is very shallow. It is very on the surface. It lacks depth. And in order to lead a country, which is a very serious job, you have to have people who can think deeply, analytical, people who can speak with confidence, people who can be sure. This job is not for amateurs. Okay? One day in history, if you are on this chat tonight or wherever you are listening from, and you don't come to appreciate Andrew Holness, if you never appreciate him in a first term or in a second term, you are hearing him today, right now, in his third term, as a man who is 53 years old, a man who has lived some life, a man who has gained some wisdom, and a man who is a student of life. You can hear it. A man who is well studied, well read. Do not be ungrateful. Appreciate the fact that you live in a country, you come from a country where we can still find and pick out one leader who can represent the country and run the country. Okay? Many countries right now in the region and around the world are struggling because either them population dumb down and stupid, then can't pick out a good leader if they see one, or because they don't have a good leader. Look what is happening in America. Look what is happening in the UK. So then change prime minister over UK again. Okay? Again every minute. Then change prime minister, then confuse. In America, we have people over here who can run the country good, but the people them confuse, the people them dumb down. So then keep putting foolishness there. So Jamaica, our little democracy, we have a little problem, we have a little up and down. But we have fixed it and we have people there. We make sense. We can see what the issues are. So something on my Facebook page yesterday. I had to block off a comrade that I've had on my page for a long time. But put up something where say, I was talking about the housing thing that was launched in Julian Robinson's constituency. And this comrade, she does not support Mark Golding them. But she come on there, come say a taxpayer's money. Because you see, they're trained to dislike anybody that's not. They come to train, they train to just dislike the person that's in government because it's not the PNP. So I understand. They kind of make that pass sometime. But when she says a taxpayer money, nobody was insinuating that the government was trying to say that it was their money. We hire these people to spend taxpayers' money wisely. That's what we hire them to do. Thank you for the super chat, Adrian. Guys, there's a super chat open over here tonight. If you want to be generous to the platform, you're free to do so. We hire these people to spend taxpayers' money. Every last one of them will come. And we hire them to spend our tax dollars wisely. Some of them come, then don't spend Jamaica tax dollars wisely. And that is the difference. So I told her, you need to get off my page because you come in here, your response to people who probably never thought they would ever own a home is that a taxpayer money. What are you saying? What are you bringing to the discussion? All you're bringing to the discussion is hate. I don't want no hate in my circle. I don't want no hate energy right here. So we all know it's taxpayers' money. Okay? NHT, we all know. And then she'll tell me, say, the government and NHT. So I show her the proof where in 2014, the PNP used NHT money for the national budget. Guys, at this stage in life, I don't have any tolerance anymore for small talk and people who come talk without knowing what they're talking about. And that's why I created this platform and encourage people participate. And if you don't know something, ask. I am not professing to know everything. I know a lot of things, but I don't know everything. And I am open to discussions and what other people have to say. So I am saying all of this to say the government of the day, let them do what they're doing. If you have any concern or whatever, that's why you have social media. And the same thing, me always make reference back to this, say, me put up a video a couple of days ago talking about how the Prime Minister of Jamaica, he does not make decision based on what's popular or what social media or think or what outrage or say or is political consequence. Him do the thing because it is the right thing for Jamaica. I always go back and make reference to the seatbelt mandate, the mandatory seatbelt and car seat that would have changed the way that we travel in Jamaica. And change is good. But what? A set of people come out and say, no, we can't do that in a Jamaica. We can't, where we ever get car seat from? Remember, this is a thing to save the lives of picnic. And the people them come and say them can't do it, them no want to do it. Yes. And he got a political backlash for it at the time. But he was doing the right thing. And you have to have respect for people who are going to risk it politically to do the right thing. Let us finish listening to this.
Relative to the challenges that we face with roads. So the only way that we're going to have an expanded budget without compromising all the other things that we're doing is for there to be growth in the economy. And that's a subject that the people who complain about roads don't always figure. Meaning that it's a balance, right? That if we're going to spend on road, where is the money going to come from? It has to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes from growth, the productivity question. But the good thing about spending on roadways is that it helps productivity.
Yes,
it helps to create growth.
Absolutely.
And that's why we are making the investment as we are, these massive investments in our roadways, because they increase productivity,
Yes.
which will improve growth, which will give us the funds to reinvest in the infrastructure.
Yes, guys, can you imagine? Thank you for the super chat, Judith. Appreciate it. Can you imagine how much faster Jamaica is going to move when we have better roads to travel on? Can you imagine how much more connected we are going to be in Jamaica? This is a very good and big investment. For those of you who are just joining, $45 billion Spark program was launched today. This is another phase of Spark. So it is a good investment.
So I hope today that I've been a little bit more clear. It's an explanation as to why it is that the roads are the way they are and what the government is doing to ensure that we can address the road conditions in the country. So this program, therefore, will address the main roads. We will begin. We have issued 31 of the roads to as work orders, and that means that China Harbour, who is the contractor on the project, will begin to do the preparatory works and then move into actual construction. Some of them could start within a year, others may take up to a year and a half to actually see the works done. But the public should be assured that these programs are now officially launched and in train. As I close, I will say one last thing on roads. For us to be able to fix all the roads in Jamaica, we need contractors who can work at scale. One of the challenges that we're facing with the current Spark program is that we simply just don't have the contracting horsepower to manage all the roads all at once. And the government is contemplating how we can support the development of a contractor class in Jamaica.
Thank you, Miss Yvette. Thank you so much for the super chat.
I mean, I hate to put it that way, but how we can develop the contractor capacity in Jamaica. So, you know, to move away from the notion of the contractor as a one-man operation who is engaged on a short-term basis and operating out of their bag, essentially, to the notion of the contractor who is a corporate entity that is invested with a balance sheet that can fund, finance, and carry the works that they are contracted to undertake, and to move them to a higher level of professional conduct. We do have some contractors who are exhibiting that level of enterprise operations that we require to do this level of operations. But there are some that continually disappoint, and we will have to address that.
Miss Love, that's exactly what the Prime Minister just said. He said it very mildly and very nicely, that some of the contractors who work on the roads in Jamaica, them woefully damaged in a short period of time. Look, rain falling, you see them coming up. We can't afford that, a waste of money. And I don't know if those people are even legitimate, because that should never happen. You understand? So, when you see Jamaica is in a situation also where you hear the language of certain countries toward the Chinese in Jamaica. And really and truly, when it comes on to these big projects and stuff like that, we are going to need international employees. You understand? I mean, it is what it is. We don't have no secret where we are do behind closed door if hurt nobody or plot up against nobody. We just want to develop. So we have to be careful as Jamaicans, with our relationship or our international relationship and stuff like that. We have to walk a very fine line, because when it comes to Jamaica, everybody want to come invest now. Some countries we attack, them never invest nothing in a Jamaica yet. But, or should I say, they've never really assisted Jamaica when times were okay. But when them get the opportunity for running, when disaster come for them, come say, yeah, we did help. But you have some real people who have invested. Okay, so that's for another conversation. Thank you, Kevin, for the super chat. Thank you so much. So let us let the Prime Minister wrap up here. And the Minister will be over here tomorrow night.
As we move with this large project, with what we're going to be doing under NARA, contractors are a critical partner in our growth and development. So we're working out a policy. We'll come to the country with more details as to how we can support contractors, whether it is through training, access to financing, access to equipment, partnering with other enterprise contractors, but we have to have a framework that develops a kind of new generation of contractors who can assist, who can be the credible partners that we need to carry the infrastructure program.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it's not to triple your capital budget is a major thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen our fiscal commissioner report that sometimes we can't spend the capital budget because the execution, which is a function of the contractors, is deficient.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one thing for us to have the funds.
Yes.
It's another thing to be able to implement.
Mm-hmm.
So we have solved the fiscal issues, so we do have the funds, we are tripling the budget, but the implementation is also a challenge. So we are going to have to address that specifically. Ladies and gentlemen, I tried.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Prime Minister. Good information. Guys, you see, if the government could have get one somebody like a Prime Minister to be the press secretary of the country, the government will be doing well. Okay? I am telling the government again that where communication and information is concerned, you all need a press secretary that is effective. You understand? I pay attention to the information, and that's how I can come out here and talk to you guys. And I told you, even though I do not support the Peter Buntings of our parliament, the PAC that took place a couple of days ago, it's one of the best PAC sessions I have ever seen. They conducted it well. Everybody behaved themselves and they asked the right questions. And I think we're going to see major improvement in heart because of that exchange at the PAC. Look out for it, guys. This is what we want to see. And that's why I'm saying we need to take the focus off the sideshow and the people who come to disrupt, because good things are happening in Jamaica. Okay? Let me just give you some breaking news real quick. Coming in right now. Miss Sonia, thank you for the super chat. I see you. Thank you so much. Coming into the newsroom right now, guys. TVJ has corrected the erroneous, misleading statement that they put out about the TCA. I'm going to play it and make you hear it, guys. At the first, me I go hear it with you tonight because somebody just sent it to me. Here goes.
Housed. On Saturday, TVJ carried a further report in which the Deputy Prime Minister stated that notice.
Go back from the beginning. Hold on.
Wednesday, TVJ presented a story concerning residents' concerns about third country nationals being sent to Grandstown, St. Mary. Now, the report included footage of a house, among other images, and we are aware that some viewers may have formed the impression that the property shown was the location where the TCNs would be housed. On Saturday, TVJ carried a further report in which the Deputy Prime Minister stated that no decision had been made as to where the TCNs would be housed nor in which community. Now, TVJ wishes to clarify and withdraw any impression created by the reports that the property shown has or was connected to or had any agreement or arrangement involvement with the government's TCN accommodation plan. We've been advised that the property shown has no agreement, arrangement, or involvement with the government's TCN accommodation plan. Now, TVJ apologizes for any concern, inconvenience, or distress caused by any contrary impression created by the broadcast. Also,
guys, wanna hear that? 1 week after they sent the country into mayhem, 1 week after there has been threats to this property in St. Mary of arson, 1 week after they mislead the people, they're coming now very late in the game to say that they're apologizing. You just heard Primetime News said that they are correcting the erroneous, misleading news report regarding transiting of the third country nationals accommodation in Jamaica. The minister and the government came out immediately and said nothing don't go so. The police, I told you over here a couple of nights ago that the police came out and sent out a message to the people they must relax because nothing no go so, and that anybody who is contemplating violence will be dealt with to the full extent of the law. The media in Jamaica must understand the responsibility that they hold to the Jamaican people. The media in Jamaica must understand that one story that is false can send an entire country into unrest quick and fast. It can cause lives. It can cause distress. Therefore, it is important that they carry the right news, and if they make a mistake, they must correct it as soon as possible or immediately. You see how long they waited? You know, so they could have burned down the people them house. Then could have see people and hurt people. I heard returning residents saying that they fear for their life because people might see them and think say they are the TCN people them coming into the country. These people are very reckless, man. Dangerous. They must stop it. You see the Jamaica Gleaner, they will not apologize. But let me tell you something about what the Jamaica Gleaner did and how dangerous it was what they did. We expect the media to hold politicians and governments and oppositions accountable. We expect the media to bring us the news and bring us accurate news without any ulterior motives. But when the Jamaica Gleaner recklessly went ahead and put out a story about the TCNs, which when we all first read it, it read like, okay, 10,000 deportees coming to Jamaica who are criminals. That is the impression that they gave. They did not consult with, questioned the government. They did not speak to the Minister of National Security nor the Minister of Foreign Affairs. They just went ahead and decided that they're going to take the story and run with it. You see what happened? Police have to come out. Newspaper have to, TVG have to come out, come apologize, all sort of something. This is how reckless some members of the media are in Jamaica today. And this is why we have channels like Jamaica Politics Uncovered and others who are trying to neutralize the new threat of misinformation in Jamaica that they're trying to use to destabilize and cause unrest in our country. This is very serious. Good night, Miss Patricia. Welcome. Miss Patricia say here how it is sad, like as we interpreted it wrong, or the photo of the house. They should have said that they aired to show the people house. Let me play it again, Miss Patricia. Thank you for that comment.
TVJ presented a story concerning residents' concerns about third country nationals being sent to Grandstown St. Mary. Now, the report included footage of a house, among other images, and we are aware that some viewers may have formed the impression that the property shown was the location where the TCNs would be housed.
No, man. Wanna come wrong again. Where you say some viewers may have farmed. Nobody didn't farm anything on the two lie. The news report clearly said, make I go back go play it because I have it right here. So the news report clearly said when they identified the house, them said this is where the people them is supposed to be. Me no want to tell a lie upon them. Let me play it back for you because see the video here on my page. Nobody never farm anything.
Hello. Just know that 25 dead body are going there in St. Mary.
Why are you bringing to Jamaica the most despicable, pedophiles, and dangerous people that
Senator
your MOU has brought?
We don't want no murderers. We don't want no rapists. We don't want no pedophiles here.
TVJ News has learned it is here that some of the third country nationals will reside when they're deported from the United States. Residents are not pleased.
Guys, tell me now which part of that people may have misconstrued the report. That's not accurate. Uno said unequivocal that una learn that this is where the people them is going to stay. That's what una said. To the point where una have people, I talk about 25 dead bodies and them going to analyze the people. Them una is reckless, una is a reckless set of people, may I tell you no. They go into our Senate, misleading the people again, talking about criminals.
And we are aware that some viewers may have formed the impression that the property shown was the location where the TCNs would be housed. On Saturday, TVJ carried a further report in which the Deputy Prime Minister stated that no decision had been made as to where the TCNs would be housed nor in which community. Now, TVJ wishes to clarify and withdraw any impression created by the reports that the property shown has or was connected to or had any agreement or arrangement involvement with the government's TCN accommodation plan. We've been advised that the property shown has no agreement, arrangement, or involvement with the government's TCN accommodation plan. Now, TVJ apologizes for any concern, inconvenience, or distress caused by any contrary impression.
You know, I don't need to tell the Jamaican people who tell us say that is the house where the people them is gonna be housed. Where you could have go down there, go video the people them property and put it on a TV. Who tell them, who give you that the information there? You all remind me of the time when during the election, a member of the opposition recorded a family's property down there in Westmoreland and put these people on social media saying that politicians give them water drum. Record the people in property, then look at business where them are run and record them yard. This is the kind of recklessness we want to do to Jamaican people, no, out of order. Now, if it was a situation where the house that they posted came under arson, what them that tell the people them say, who would have pay for the people in property were burned down? Who no thinks the TVJ would have gone in them pocket or whosoever response for them? Would have go in them pocket and pay back the people in for their house? We got to be careful. This is unacceptable. Uno come out 1 week later, uno talk about say, uno come with story with Minister of National Security. What the Minister of National Security said is what he said. But your apology should have come much, much sooner so that the people would have a different view of the report that you put out. This recklessness, this misinformation, this warfare, information warfare going on in Jamaica, it is most dangerous, if not as dangerous as when people are out in the streets pointing guns at each other. It was Hanover? Okay, sorry about that. Miss Patricia says, no photo of no place should have been done. We must be sensitive of the. And that may I say, when I say then do it, I couldn't believe it because even if it was so, even if the TCNs were in Jamaica and even if that's where they were staying, by TVJ put in the house on their news program, what they're doing is inviting people to go and harm these people. So no matter which way you take it, whether you want to say at the wrong house, you cannot see people coming into the country and I tell people which part they must stay and a video their house and sit. That is reckless or endangering people's lives. What is going on? Some of these news reporters and journalists who have been in media for a long time, I'm surprised that they're doing things like this. Imagine you're going to one country. And when you look on TV, you see news reporter put up which party you stay and them something there. That is wrong, man. Nobody shouldn't have to tell you so not endanger people's life. Very inappropriate. Good night, Terry. Terry says, I said it before and I will say it again. The quality of journalism coming out of Jamaica these days is woefully despicable. I said the same thing, that a lot of our good journalists, they've transitioned. And these nowadays journalists, they've not picked up the mantle and giving the Jamaican people any quality reporting. Everything now is as we info would I say as on TikTok news, them are run. They now run no credible information again. Guys, there was a time, when in our media landscape in Jamaica, you used to see journalists going out into the field a lot. They don't do that anymore. They sit down and wait for leaks. That's all they do. Sit down and wait for leaks and tell people opinion. That's all they do. Things where they can't verify, they do. They don't go out in the field like one time. Why may I tell you now? Look pan all when Hurricane Melissa came. I want to see journalists them coming in a country from America and different place. Uno notice that the Jamaican journalists them never really out there like the international journalists them. Uno tell me if I lie, me I tell. When the hurricane come, did you see the journalists them in a Jamaica out in the field and out in a community every day with the people them like the foreign media them? No. So that goes to show you that the quality of journalism has been, it's deteriorated. Sad to say. We want a country with good government, good opposition, and good media. That's what we want. Now, guys, me have one voice note. Me have to wonder if me should have even played at the voice note there to diminish the quality of live broadcast delivered here tonight. Right? But you know why me have play it? Because me want the government and the Jamaican people to understand something very important. I put up a video yesterday about what Member of Parliament of East Portland, Isaac Buchanan, said to the Parliament regarding the behavior of his colleagues, okay? When I heard the Speaker of the House refer to the member as her dear friend, I figured, okay, it sounds like they had a sidebar. They had a private conversation where they both acknowledged that there are members of the House who have gone way overboard with disrespecting the Speaker of the House. And when I heard her say, my dear friend from East Portland, I thought, okay, what is going on here? Well, when Isaac rose to his feet and I heard what he said, there was no doubt in my mind that Isaac was talking to members of his side, but he had to do it skillfully so as to not come under fire from them. What I don't like about what Isaac said, though, you cannot be making a false equivalency because see, the PNP come out now after Isaac's statement and Marissa Dalrymple's statement. They're coming out crying victim, saying that they were intimidated or something like that in the parliament. Nobody intimidated them. And everything we want to see come from the PNP in the form of a statement is coming directly from Nikisha Burchell. She's the one who run that part of the PNP. All right. So Isaac Buchanan rose and he spoke. But what we cannot do is be a hypocrite in the face of the Jamaican people. There is nobody in there as a female being disrespected except for the Speaker of the House. No other female in there is being disrespected. So it's the Speaker who is the victim in all of this. There can be no false equivalency made to say both sides. The language of both sides doesn't apply because there's no both sides. There's the opposition with a faction of people who believe that the parliament can run like a dog house. Can't run so. So there's no both sides. Isaac, don't say them something there. But what I have come to realize after hearing what Isaac said last night on a program out here is that Isaac is a man where him cannot be taken serious. Isaac is not a mature individual outside of the legal work that he does. He's not mature enough for this arena because you cannot go in parliament and say what you said. And though you were trying to be skillful to not offend your side publicly, I mean, you said the whole of them vexed with him. But I want you all to listen to what Isaac Buchanan said outside of the parliament and tell me if Isaac is righted. Me know when people righted, you know. I hope me can find it, you know. Let me see.
Perhaps, women are not ready to enter parliament.
Women are not ready to enter parliament. You hear all them something there now? Where you come from with them the statement there? There are women in the parliament who are more than ready and capable of being there, earn their spot there, and should be there and belong there. So when you are going to make it sound like, say, there's a girls' fight happening in the parliament, there's no girls' fight happening in the parliament. There's a set of virago over on the opposition side who are very disrespectful, because if the other side and the speaker is supposed to behave like them, can you imagine what the parliament would be like? The speaker has been very, she has held her composure. I mean, here you make a statement and say over Bahamas, like you say you rate the speaker over there because over the Bahamas, the speaker control our house. What are you trying to say? Guys, only cannot take ISAT serious. Madam Speaker, don't take this man serious. This man want a soundbite. Just like Nikisha Burchell, a soundbite they want. And for trend. Not take them serious, me I beg you know. Listen to these people.
Because they can't get along with each other. They say perhaps, women are not ready to enter parliament, because they can't get along with each other. It's no place for governance. Because their squabble and beef and disrespect for each other as women, right, has caused someone to say, oh please, Isaac, we all know you like the speaker, but fine, she respect the opposition members. I don't even know what that is, so.
Buchanan says he has no reason to disrespect House Speaker Julia Holness.
I have no need to disrespect the Speaker of the House. She's never disrespected me. Doesn't mean it is a basis to accept disrespect from when my colleagues being disrespected that I'm going to condone it. If you ever interview the Speaker of the House, she will tell you there are many times that I get up from my chair and I go to the sidebar. Myself and Omar Newell, who do it often. I read the standing orders. I'm a part of the standing orders committee, and I interpret it. I look at standing orders all across the Commonwealth. Currently, the Bahamas Speaker of the House, I'm going to have great respect for her because she handles our house.
Isaac Buchanan, MP for East Portland. Meanwhile, Buchanan is also defending South at St. James MP Nikisha Burchell amid strident criticism of her conduct in Parliament. Buchanan says Burchell is paving the way for a future career as a beauty products entrepreneur in the same vein as former PNP MP for South East St. Anne, Lisa Hanna.
Everybody turn on the young, beautiful black girl in Parliament who who let women know that you can be sexy, you can be beautiful, and you can be intelligent. I don't Lisa Hanna alone. No, Nikisha makes she do what she do, so when she done and she get old, she can go sell her beauty products. Nothing wrong with that.
Buchanan says although he doesn't like to shower, he ensures he's groomed immaculately when entering Parliament to work on behalf of his constituents.
In the eyes of young people, the whole of it old. The whole of it near hurt, where we back of hurt, where we can certain things and do not die them period and do whatever them want to do. I live my reality, and I can tell you, when me bathe and put on my clothes, come in like bathe. Me as a man, as a Rasta man, I like bathe. You see what I said? When you say me bathe and put...
Guys, we can't, you see, me not have nothing more to say about this. A man will come out, come tell people say him don't like bathe. What we supposed to say to you now? You can't take them people that serious. And the same person who him said that him talking at the parliament say she come in there and disrespect people. Him use the other, him talk out a two-side of him mouth. Him come out now and say she has set up herself to sell beauty product. What kind of beauty product she can sell? Look here, no make no trouble with. Make we focus on what's important. I tell you no, say me not really gonna feature the PNP because this is what they come with. You see, not no longer after I said that, you see what they come with now, him not like beard. For what? We never need to know say you not like beard. You didn't say that in the parliament that you don't like beard, but you come out, that's all you do. Go from podcast to podcast, attack pure foolishness. I don't want people to see you in a different light now. I want to put on jacket and tie and go in a parliament if you see you in a different light. Right? I don't have time for no. I want to not bring nothing constructive. Right now, this is what Jamaica people in business about right now. Phone look foolish so now coming don't make no sense. Just when we started to say, all right, the contribution we're making at the parliament, it might change some people's mind. Because you know, no manners from morning, you know. From me, the first time I hear what this man say about Paula Llewellyn, me write him off from them time there. Me not like him. Because me not like man with this woman. And when he stand up in a parliament and talk, some people say, all right, maybe we can give him a chance. But you right at not even 24 hours later, you come with foolishness. Go on where you go, yeah, man. For those of you who are just joining, you may want to go back and listen after we're done here. I think you may want to hear about my analysis about whether democratic socialism was a failed experiment. As I said, and as Michael Manley said in his time, that Jamaica has always been a country when he spoke in the US, where he was invited. He said Jamaica is a country where we always do some experiment because we're such a young democracy. And with this current government right now, we are out of the phase of experiment. We already experiment with everything. We know what feel and what won't feel. So right now, we now do not experiment because we can't. For experiment is a costly thing. All right. So watch this real quick, and then we'll come out with the closing of the program. Or if you guys have anything to say, you might can call, but we're already approaching 2 hours here.
And no power will turn me back from that world. And comrades, if you go and walk with me, if you go and step with me, if you go and move with me, we're moving as warriors. We're moving in determination. We're moving to struggle. We're moving to change that world. No power will turn us back.
Prime Minister Manley.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
May I begin by saying that it's a great honor to be invited here and on this occasion. I have the opportunity of my life, which is to meet the President of the United States of America. I thought it might be of interest, perhaps, if I began by setting a stage for you about a country like Jamaica and where it is at this moment. Like many developing countries, we have been on a learning curve. We've tried things, and one of the virtues of Jamaica is that it has always had a sort of experimental energy, been willing to try to find ways to get through this tremendously difficult problem of development. I think that if I had maybe come out of a different background, not a trade unionist background, but a long background in politics or in business or something, I'd have understood better how business people think and how the middle class think.
Yes.
Would have had a more realistic sense of the limits to the social goodwill of certain groups, you know, that have never faced those issues. That one might have approached in a quieter, more patient kind of way.
That's a different man you're looking at right there from the one who was knocking the podium, you know, and he thought that he could really, I mean, a small country as Jamaica, such a young democracy, he thought that Jamaica would have been that country to change the world. But it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So, I'm looking at a post here that someone sent to me from Dayton Campbell's fake page. It says, me tell you say, them vex so I sat and the speaker had that moment yesterday in the parliament. So according to Dayton Campbell fake page people, it says ISAT needs to know which side he's on. Your side can't be at war and you trying to play boaty. So when you see the mindset and the mentality of the opposition, they consider themselves at war. I don't know who them are war with, because the Prime Minister of Jamaica and the government now war with nobody but the outdated road network we have in Jamaica and the development, the impediments of development in our country. That are the only thing the government are war with. So I don't know who PNP are war with, people. Your side can't be at war. And you're trying to play boaty. Not one JLP member got up and said that the speaker should treat the opposition with respect or fairness. What are they calling respect or fairness? The standing order that them didn't read, because even I sat talking at the parliament, so I don't read the standing order. Are that a problem? So in their ignorance in the standing order and the speaker carrying out her job, they consider it to be disrespectful and unfair. Not one JLP member got up and said the speaker should treat the opposition with respect or fairness. So what you mean that if we know the standing orders, we wouldn't want to participate? What? When they were calling you a criminal, it was the PNP who defended you. When they start again, you are on your own. Dayton Campbell fake page. They vex with the man we say him not like beard. Me can't bother with them, yeah, people. Them have one different platform. And over here, so, if we supposed to sustain the kind of politics where the PNP are run over here, so it's not sustainable for us to be taken seriously. You understand? I would give you a little 2-second highlight of what go on just to balance and help you guys to be aware of what's going on. But the main focus is the development of Jamaica. As I said at the beginning of the program, there's something about this opposition where they see the worst in Jamaica. Nobody sees the worst in Jamaica like the current People's National Party. Not only do they see the worst in Jamaica, but no one speaks badly about Jamaica like comrades in opposition right now. They see the absolute worst in Jamaica. They see Jamaica as a messy, failed state, which is not the reality. Because by all indication, Jamaica is better off than it was 10 years ago. Okay? And if you want me to name a few things, I mean, I want nobody come go on like say me no know what me attack say. Because you have some of them have the audacity. Jamaica is better off where crime is concerned. That is not something that is debatable and it cannot be disputed. Crime is low, unemployment is low, debt to GDP ratio is low, the stability of the Jamaican dollar is something to talk about, the NIR is high, and for the first time in 10 years, Jamaica is going to start taxing the Jamaican people with new taxes, that is. And that is because we had the hurricane that wiped us out. So Jamaica is better off than it was 10 years ago. And I challenge anybody, I don't care if you're JLP, PNP, or no P, I challenge anybody to bring a debate to this platform. If you feel like Jamaica is not advanced and better off than it was 10 years ago, I welcome anybody who wants to hold that debate. And actually, I think it would be fun. So if you don't know anybody, guys, or if there's anybody in the chat who wants to debate JPU about whether Jamaica has improved since the last 10 years, make out your nice, no man. Come over here, come debate me. Wanna send for anybody. And we will debate live on camera over here. I think that should be fun. That would definitely be fun, and facts only. I would love to hear it. Wanna say, guys? I wonder if we could have put up one piece of money. Mr. Vegas, it put up $2,000 in the election. Say, if anybody can come bring somebody to come point out the Prime Minister saying thief from them. Mr. Vegas said I give them $2,000. Okay? Make we put up $1,000. $1,000 just to make it nice. Put up $1,000 for anybody who win the debate. And who know I go come. JLP, PNP, no P, everybody come. And who know I go talk in the chat or call the program and talk and say who win or who lose. I am a woman. I can take a loss. So if I don't come out on the winning side, guys, then me don't come out on the winning side. I would gladly and respectfully concede. But make we put up $1,000. Anybody want to come and debate me? I will take on 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. I will take on half dozen people. Me alone take on half dozen people. Come over here, come prove to me with facts and with truth. Come tell me say Jamaica no better off than it was 10 years ago. That would be good. Some of the most memorable debates in Jamaica. I don't know if y'all remember. Was it Ian Boyne and Muta Baruka? And one of the most memorable debates that, guys, in the history of Jamaica, Yeah, man. And that's why when it comes on to religion, I don't really debate people about religion, people, because when it comes on to religion, Lord Jesus are one of the most controversial sitting because everybody interpret things different. But anyway, I saw it go. Jamaica is better than 10 years ago, no question. Where can those who oppose you find facts? Me don't know them are going to find the facts, but me I invite them still. Gwendolyn say me sound like a gambler. Gwendolyn, my grandmother used to run one betting shop. We used to go down there go help her on Saturday daytime. And my grandmother was a gambler, When she lock a betting shop, she go next door go gamble. Anytime I go up the yard and can't find her, just go down a gambling house. My grandmother was a gambler, but children grow me Adventist, me no gamble. Me no really gambling, But I am just saying, to make it fun, or, I guess to make it fun, maybe we can find somebody who is brave enough, who would be, who would want to take on the challenge when them you say $1,000 a night. That will make them come. So we will follow up on this though, because that is an interesting thing. But guys, make sure you come back over here tomorrow night. I thank you so much for joining and for sticking around. Tomorrow night we're gonna have Minister Robert Nesta Morgan, and one of the questions I'll have for him is where Jamaica get $45 billion to invest in roads at this time. I don't know what questions you guys will have for him, but make sure that you come back. I am going to open up the phone line for a few calls. where if you have any questions, you can ask. Okay? So, guys, thank you so much. Have yourselves a good night, and make sure that you go down on the page and turn on your notification for tomorrow. Have a good night, guys. Take care.
God is the greatest. Big up, happy wife. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, remember who you are. Oftentimes it is said that nothing good comes from the ghetto. But you're an example, Prime Minister, that that is not true. Society would say you come from regular parents, a father who was a farmer and a mother who was a civil servant. Even though you grew up in a community that was known and plagued with violence, you overcame. You're such an overcomer that you graduated as valedictorian and head boy of the St. Catherine High School. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, remember who you are. You're the first Prime Minister when me say move Jamaica from poverty to prosperity. So much so that in all the years Jamaica has been going along, is the first civil servant has received so much raise, and is the first time people have experienced so much increase in the minimum wage. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, remember who you are. Remember that you have won 3 consecutive terms. Not 1, not 2, but 3. But we also can backtrack our minds to the time that you have lost. And when you had lost, you still carry yourself with integrity and decorum. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, remember who you are. Remember, say you're living at them head rent free, so much so that they're delusional. And when them going at them interviews, them say, one rumor that was spoken of me is that I was with the Prime Minister of Jamaica. Nobody never heard that before. Prime Minister Andrew Holness, remember who you are. Remember that you are the youngest Prime Minister Jamaica has ever seen. And you never use youth as a disadvantage. You use youth as an advantage. And whether you support green, black, purple, or orange, it must be said that you are one of the greatest Prime Minister not only Jamaica has ever seen, but the entire Caribbean.
What you're eating? Hearing some rumors that I went into the class party money to buy personal KFC. And even if I did, I'll put it back. I'll put it back. Touch your neighbor and say he's going to put it back. I give you a joke. My neighbor asked me to drop them a hell shot. She and her family, so they might pay me. I sit down in the car, I don't know if they're sorry for me. But them send the little one come ask me if me want a chicken lunch. I said, go and tell mommy I never know the chicken sell at Elsha. I want what you're eating. Come on. Touch your neighbor and say, me nah go Elsha go eat chicken. Touch your neighbor and say, Ray,